Let me take you on a journey to Phoenix, Arizona.
Come on.
UFOs are among us. South Mountain, where the petroglyphs show evidence that the Indians knew all about this. March 13th, 1997, the UFOs showed their presence, the Phoenix lights, and it was seen by masses. Still people hating, still people doubting. Petroglyphs in the sky. Watch the UFOs fly by. We in the southwest Arizona. Sonoran Desert, UFOs are among us. Petroglyphs in the sky. Watch them UFOs.
Hello, welcome back to the Phoenix Lights Petroglyphs in the Sky UFO show. How's everyone doing tonight? So glad you guys are here. We have a very informative show in store for you tonight. Thank you for being here. My name is Jeff+woolwin. I was born and raised in Phoenix, Arizona. I started my quest in 2004 by filming the Phoenix Lights on the east side of South Mountain. From there, it went on to, in 2005, discovering what people now call jellyfish UAPs, and I also connected them to the rock art left by the Hohokam Indians, the first Native Americans who lived in Phoenix, Arizona, who are here for about a little over 1,000 years, and then all of a sudden they up and disappeared with no trace of them. So I started doing this. I've been doing this a very, very long time. I've been seeing strange things in the sky ever since I was a kid. This is why I started my adventure on trying to find out exactly what UAPs and UFOs really are, what the Phoenix Lights really is. And I believe I have a lot of answers to some of these questions. And I'm just so glad you guys are here because we have a great show in store for you tonight. So without further ado, excuse me, let's get on with it because I don't have a lot of time. So I remember there's a lot of like traditions and a lot of, what do you call it? I don't know, ceremonies, I guess, where, especially like in Mexico, where they hang from these ropes high up on poles, like, I don't know, like it's huge, like 70, 80 feet up, high up on these poles, and they swing around on these ropes. And it just reminded me of a lot of petroglyphs that I discovered out on South Mountain. And a lot of information goes along with it. I mean, because we really have to ask ourselves, how do these legends and myths like get started? You know, how do these type of dances or ceremonies, you know, get started? There has to be some kind of like beginning to this. And over the years, you know, like some stories and rumors, they get twisted here and twisted there, so it just drags on. But eventually, you know, we have to go back to the source, you know, and this is what we really have to pay attention to. Maybe what the Native Americans are trying to tell us as far as spiral doorways and emergence points into the underworld and spirits of the earth and sky, maybe they are trying, maybe this is just isn't interpretations. Maybe there's something here to it, and maybe it was from the beginning. So let's go ahead and take a look at what I'm talking about as far as this type of Native American dance, and then we're going to get into the petroglyphs and some of the meanings behind it all. Let's get started.
This is the Danza de los Voladores, an ancient Mesoamerican ceremony still performed today. The ritual dance, recognized by UNESCO as part of humanity's intangible cultural heritage in 2009, is a celebration that combines elements of music, dance, and acrobatics, symbolizing mythological concepts and prayers for fertility and abundance. It is performed by 5 people, 4 representing the cardinal points. A 5th man, the caporal, represents the spirits and stands on a platform atop the pole, playing the drum and flute. Each volador first needs to climb a wooden pole 18 to 40 meters high, then leap into the void, held by a rope around the waist. Tied to the platform with long ropes, they hang from it as it spins, twirling to mimic the motions of flight and gradually lowering themselves to the ground. They are often dressed in colorful traditional costumes adorned with feathers, representing sacred birds. Originating around 2,500 years ago, the dance varies from region to region, as does its name. It has never ceased to be practiced, despite numerous attempts to ban it. This is the Danza de los Voladores.
Isn't that something? Isn't that something? So why would they do that? Okay, what started that? You know, why are they continuing to do that type of dance or ceremony to this day? I mean, why do they do this? And the narrator was saying that they represent sacred birds by wearing the feathers. Well, I'm not too sure about that. I think so. Let's look at some of these, some of the Jesus paintings that we see. We always know that what we are looking at as far as Jesus or holy man, he has this halo around his head. And so we know he's holy, right? Because the artist wants us to understand what he's talking about. So he's putting that halo over a sacred man to represent him, that he's holy, that he's special. Okay, so that's how we interpret, how we understand what holy pictures and holy men, because of the halo. Or they have wings on them, especially like the Anunnaki. When we see the Anunnaki carvings, we see them with these wings on them. Now, in my opinion, it doesn't necessarily mean that they have wings. What the artist is trying to tell us is this person has the capability of flight. The artist wants the person understanding the art to understand that what he's trying to tell you is by putting wings or a halo over someone's head, that it's either a sacred man or it's a holy being that can fly. Okay, so just because we see the Anunnaki with these wings doesn't necessarily mean they have wings. I think the artist is trying to tell us that they have the capability of flight. So let's go back to the Indians hanging on ropes. Where did all this get started? Well, let's take a look at some of these petroglyphs. This one was carved on South Mountain in Phoenix. And a lot of people would say, oh, that's got to be a balloon. I'll get my arrow going on. Don't you just love live video? But why would the Native Americans be carving balloons like over 1,000 years ago when they didn't have balloons there in the first place? But we see these carvings of a circular object with this line coming down from it, right? Well, studying these things and what we see for our own eyes, the artist is trying to tell us, look, he saw this. Okay, they didn't have video cameras or photo or regular cameras to record what was going on, to record special events. So they had stone rock art. They had stone boulders or mountains, all right, to carve what they're trying to say in the places where the event took place at. These are prehistoric photographs, right? Because he wants to tell a story for generations to come. And I believe the petroglyphs are meant for our generation. Because clearly they saw UFOs back in the day. Now we are seeing UFOs. Okay? So these carvings is meant for us. Right? For the future. For our generation. And he's telling us. And how better way to tell us is through his art, And he's telling us that this orb has this line that's coming down out of it. Follow me here, folks. I'm getting to a point here. Let's take a look at this other petroglyph here. This one is on the White Tank Mountains in Phoenix. This is west of the valley there. And again, we see another type of orb and another line here. Okay? And the sun. Right? These photographs can be found in my book. Let's look at another petroglyph. Here's one here. We see an orb And he's got this line, and it looks like he's picking up what looks like some kind of lizard. This is on South Mountain. This petroglyph is on South Mountain. And we have a circle with a dot. That's very significant. Those of you who have been following me and watching my shows understand what the circle with the dot is. It's because, you know, when we see the lights, when we see these things in the sky, and especially when we record them, we see this dot in the middle of the orbs. Well, isn't that a very coincidence that the Native Americans are carving circular objects with dots? The same stuff we're seeing in the skies now. Circles with dots. And he's got this line. And he's picking up what looks like, you know, like a lizard guy. A lizard. Let's take a look at this one here. Now here we have what looks to be barbells. And again, we see this line coming down. So, you know, we call these things now what? These square objects like Tic Tac UFOs, right? But now this line is coming through them, and they're like barbells now, right? So we're seeing the Tic Tacs in the sky, but now some of them, you know, they're representing barbells, and they have this line connected to each other. I got one more to show you. Now let's look at this here. Bring my arrow. Where's my arrow? She just loves live video. So look at this here. This is on South Mountain. And it looks like an orb, right? And with this line coming down, and what is he doing? He's actually picking up this man. See that there? You see what the Native Americans drew for us? There's an orb. And it's cool too because, you know, when you see them, when you see like the Phoenix lights, you know, they're pulsating. Those of you who have witnessed the Phoenix lights or other lights where you live or seen videos of these lights in the sky, they're pulsating, right? They're like plasma. And it's like got this ripple effect to them. And this is what I believe the artist is trying to tell us. Through the circle within a circle within a circle, it's like a ripple effect. Like when you throw a rock into the water and then the ripples come out, form where the rock impacted the water. I believe this is what the Native American, the artist, is trying to tell us. Because it's pulsating, right? And it's got this line coming down and it's picking this guy up. So when we go back to that demonstration and the guy's up there in the feathers, now it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a sacred bird. It means that he was able to fly in the sky, right? Connected, follow me here, with these orbs, with these UAPs, with these UFOs. There's a lot of petroglyphs on South Mountain and around Phoenix, Arizona, where it's depicting, whether it's an orb, whether it's an anthropomorph, or something weird, with this line coming down, picking things up, a coyote, a man, things like this. So I believe that that dance where they're up there swinging around has something to do with what is carved here and what actually happened. because there's a lot of petroglyphs on South Mountain where the Native Americans would interact with these beings in the sky. These beings would come down and pick man up, carry them up into the sky, and it was like a type of game. You know, there's a spot on South Mountain on Holbrook Trail that I found where there's a lot of petroglyphs there, right? And a lot of activity is going on in this area. And when you climb up high, up on a boulder overlooking the valley where this petroglyph, where all these petroglyph panels are carved, you can kind of see like this whole area there, and there's rocks there to sit and watch. And I believe that the Native Americans used to come to South Mountain from all over. This is fact. Many tribal Native Americans used to gather here on South Mountain for hunting and gathering, trade, stuff like that, and also to see the lights, to see these things. And they would come up on the hills on top of the mountain, and they would watch what was going on. And then some of them were actually picked up and carried off by these beings in the sky. And I believe this is one of the prehistoric photograph of what it's talking about on what we just saw in that film. Isn't that interesting? This can be found in my book. Okay, let's move on. Those of you who have been following me at least for the past year or so know that I've moved to Tucson, Arizona now. And now I'm watching this mountain called Mount Lemon. And last summer it was crazy, crazy orbs. Let's go ahead and take a look. See if I can bring it up. Here we go. Here's Mount Lemon. Let's take a look at this here. So there's Lemon right here. Here's Tucson. And then this is the Recon Mountains here, right? And we're looking north, right? This is south up here, this way, and this is north here. This is Tucson. So let's go ahead and zoom in on this mountain. Let's get a better look at this here. So in studying the petroglyphs and calling down a Native American to teach me the rock art and to teach me, basically who the Hohokam people were, what happened to them, and the history of Phoenix, Arizona. When we came across these spirals, there's a lot of spirals carved on South Mountain. He was trying to tell me that these spirals are symbols for doorways. When the spiral goes clockwise, it's a doorway in. When the spiral is going counterclockwise, it's a doorway out. And when the spiral goes in, going clockwise going in or clockwise going out, it'll end more than likely in the crack of the stone. And the Native Americans are saying that crack in the stone is the emergence point, is the doorway. Now, when I'm studying all this and he's teaching me all this stuff, I'm thinking, how can a big spaceship V-craft go into a little crack like that? Until I saw it, until I actually witnessed what the Native Americans were talking about. You see, I soon realized in 2005 that what we're dealing with here is something completely different. Sure, spaceships, aliens, crafts from another world, that's fine. But I also believe there is something else here. And I believe what the majority of the public is seeing is something different. These are not crafts at all. These orbs in the sky, these lights in the sky. Now we're talking about jellyfish in the sky. I discovered all of this in 2005 while doing my research on the Phoenix Lights. I sat by South Mountain for a number of years. I watched these things come and go. I soon realized that what we are dealing with is not crafts at all, but a living creature. You see 5 lights out there, you're looking at 5 living beings, 5 living entities, 5 living creatures. When I was doing my research in 2004 and 2005, all the way up until till today, because you never stop learning. This was way before Ancient Aliens, way before UFO Hunter Show, way before Skinwalker Ranch. I was up there on the mountains, studying what I was seeing in the sky, filming them, discovering the Native Americans' myths and legends and the interpretations of the rock art, proving that the petroglyphs had something to do with the things that we see in the skies today. No one's ever done that before. This is the first in history. There was a lot of, oh yeah, we think the Native Americans are talking about UFOs with their ghosts, but nobody proved it until I came around in 2005 and actually was matching what I was seeing out there to the Native American rock art. I then soon discovered, watching these things on a regular basis, that what we're dealing with is something different. These things were alive. When Pat Uskert from the UFO magazine got word of what I was doing, he had this show in mind called UFO Road Trip. He was in Phoenix at the time in 2005, and he got a hold of me, and I ended up doing a 7-page article for UFO magazine. He also asked me if I would like to be involved of the pilot for this new show that he was making called UFO Road Trip. I said, sure, yeah, let's do it. Went up on South Mountain. We talked about the petroglyphs connected to the UFOs. He then went on to other parts of the United States, filming other people and their UFOs. Took it back to Hollywood. Sat on the desk there at Hollywood Studios there for a little while until the producers picked it up. They loved the idea, and then instead of UFO Road Trip, they ended up calling it the UFO Hunter Show. So in 2007, the UFO Hunter Show, Pat Uskert got a hold of me again and says, hey, we're working on an episode on the Phoenix Lights called Arizona Lights. Would you like to be involved with it? Talk about the petroglyphs. I said, sure. He goes, but here's one thing. You're filming some bizarre stuff. Because I'm no longer seeing V-shaped crafts anymore. There's no evidence of a V-shaped craft going over the city of Phoenix. Right? What we do have evidence of are lights on the west side of South Mountain in Phoenix. There's no evidence of anything flying over the city of Phoenix. My point is, there were sky watchers out there that night, March 13th, 1997. And they were ready for something to happen because they were watching things way before March 13th. They were seeing lights in the sky. So they were ready for this. And this is the reason why we have videos of what really happened that night. And how many videos do we have? We have 4 videos. That's it. Of lights on the west side of Phoenix. Nothing flying over the city of Phoenix. If there was, surely these sky watchers, man, they would have grabbed it. They would have got that on film, and to this day, we would be talking about a solid craft going over the city of Phoenix, point blank. No questions. That's it. But there wasn't. There wasn't any, to this day, there's no evidence of anything flying over the city of Phoenix that night, March 13, 1997. So we must go on hearsay and not what others want you to believe, just to sell a book, just to get, on Harkins movie theaters to sell you tickets to exploit these lights from people who have no idea what's going on. And when I was out there on the mountain, I was seeing something different, man. These things were alive. The Mexico City, the Mayans, they're talking about the Quetzalcoatl, the flying serpents. Well, you know what? I was filming that stuff way back in 2005. Back then, we were calling them tadpoles, right? Or serpents in the sky, right? And Pat was telling me, dude, you just can't say that. The public isn't ready for this discovery yet. This is all new. So if you're going to talk about these things, you must say spaceships, crafts. Even though we know you're right, there's nothing we can do because the public isn't ready for this. I had to wait over 20 years for now the public to start seeing what now is called jellyfish UAPs. I was the original source on filming these things here in the United States and connecting them to the rock art. and other stuff that we're going to go over with you tonight, and we're going to talk about that right now. So when the Native Americans are saying that they're going down into the underworld, the spirals, or that's the emergence point to the underworld, on a scientific analysis, they're going down into the energy source. You see these mountains like Mount Lemmon here and South Mountain and some of these other mountains where UFOs like to hang out at. There's fault lines there. And these beings are drawn to this energy source here. And they hover over this energy, and they get brighter and brighter, and then until finally they sucked up enough energy, they move on and more come in. That was a situation in Phoenix, Arizona in 1997, in 2004 when I was filming them, and now here in Tucson, Arizona on Mount Lemmon. I started watching these things in the summer of 2004. In May, they were on this side here. And then by the time October moved around, they had migrated all the way over here to the east side. So now in October, they're over here in the east. And they were moving with each week of the month, they would move. Until finally, when we got to October, they were far on the east side until they went out of town. Now, let's look at this here. What is attracting these orbs to this mountain? Well, if you notice this here, you see all these canyons here? See all this? The Native Americans will call these doorways. Emergence points. And that's what these orbs are doing. That's what these UAPs are doing. They're going down into the fault line, into the energy. Now, to get a better understanding on what's going on, let's bring in the science guy. Let's ask science what's going on here. Mr. Science Guy, can you please explain to the people, the studio audience here, and the people watching at home on their television sets on exactly what is going on and why these beings like to hang around these mountains where these energy sources are?
Center of the Earth, you will find hot, molten iron just roiling around under tremendous gravitational pressure. And this roiling effect of the molten iron creates magnetic fields that shoot out from the center of Earth through the crust and into the space around the planet. That forms what's called the magnetosphere, and it's a good thing we have it because we're constantly being bombarded by charged particles from the sun. The sun is so hot that it exists in a fourth state of matter. There's gas, liquid, solid, and then plasma. And in plasma, ions, which are positively charged atoms, and electrons just float freely around one another. And these particles have such a high energy charge that they can escape the massive gravitational field of the sun and barrel toward Earth at like something around 1,000,000 miles an hour, like a shotgun blast full of solar hate. That's called the solar wind. When these particles encounter our magnetosphere, most of them just kind of bounce harmlessly off. The Earth is saved. But some of them manage to get through, and the electrons that make it through our magnetosphere and into our atmosphere encounter oxygen and nitrogen. The electrons transfer energy to these atoms and excite them. This interplay is most vibrant during solar storms, which depend somewhat on the solar cycle, and it's always going on.
So it's always going on, and it goes on the solar cycle. Okay? That's the key here. It's the solar cycle. And that's when I first discovered that these things follow the equinox and the solstice and the changing of the seasons. They're in fact following the sun. As the sun moves over these energy sources, over these fault lines, in combination with the ions and electrons and the fault lines, man, there's a lot of energy there. All right? This is what's going on here. This is why we're seeing so much UFO activity around these energy sources, especially mountains, man-made energy sources such as huge electrical plants, and also the oceans, because there's fault lines in the ocean. That's when these things are coming and going from the oceans. They're going to that fault line. Okay? Just as I was discovering these jellyfish in 2005, okay, and the public wasn't ready for it, again, we're going to have to probably wait another 20 years until these other UFO researchers, ufologists, come to this conclusion also. Right? So you guys are here to see it first. Right? In my opinion, and studying these things and watching them and tracing them throughout the years, I'm telling you, man, this is it. They are after the energy there, and they're following the sun. They're following the seasons, much like these birds, right? Some birds, they flock, south for the winter. Okay? So it's a type of migration here. This is a pattern, right? And that's exactly what's going on here. Let me show you. I filmed this let me find this here. Did I get this other one? Nope. Okay, so in 2004, I'm sorry. Last summer in 2024, the auras were coming this way, okay? They started in May. And then right before the summer solstice, they were gone. And then they came back, right? In January. And now they're here in 2025, all right? So at first, they were going from, they were migrating from west to east, okay? But now it seems like they're migrating from north to south. So they're moving closer this way, okay? So by the time spring equinox comes around, they should be gone in March 21st. And they should be getting brighter, a lot brighter, right? Now they're like little specks of light. I mean, in order to see them, you have to use the night vision, all right? But I think eventually, before March 21st, we will start seeing them a lot over this mountain, and they're going to get bright. Let's go ahead and show this here. I filmed this over Mount Lemmon, and look how bright they are at first. I love the pyramids. That's a star right there, by the way. So we're looking at this here, and look how they're kind of dimming out, right? So when it was first bright like that, I could see it with my own eyes over the Mount Lemmon, and it's slowly going down, heading towards Mount Lemmon. And look how they're dimming out. All right? Look at that perfect triangle. I believe we now understand where the ancients got the idea for triangles, because we have the Egyptians building pyramids, and we have the Mayans building pyramids, and there's just pyramids all over the earth. These pyramids are representing mountains, all right? And they're constructed over the energy spots, right? And I believe that these pyramids is a type of conductor, a type of energy source. I think the ancient ones back in the day knew how to harness and control energy for these beings, All right, this is what the pyramids in Egypt is all about. This is what the pyramids in Mexico and some of the other pyramids around the world that are built over these fault lines. All right, and I think water has something to do with it also. Okay, I think they were able to pump water into these pyramids and in these shafts and these canals underground, and whatever magic they were using, we don't know yet. Was able to harness this energy. I mean, have you ever wondered why there's like no soot in in the pyramids of Egypt from from the fires, from the, if they were out there building and carving stuff, they would need some kind of light, right? So they technically should be having a torch, right? And the torch would have soot on the ceiling. But yet we don't find any soot at all. Any markings, any evidence of any torches for light in these pyramids. This is because they had energy. They were able to make light bulbs, if you will. There's even a petroglyph out there, or a hieroglyph in Egypt, on one of the pyramids, where it's actually showing a light bulb. So yes. And what about the Baghdad battery? All right. The ancient ones knew how to control and harness energy, without a doubt. So they're now starting talking about, the government is now trying to talk about, they're going to talk about releasing information on UAPs, right? Just recently, all right, they came out and they did a newscast or whatever, saying that they're going to come down to the bottom of it, and try to figure out what's going on. Well, throughout last summer and then up until like now, a couple days ago, I didn't see, there are airplanes out there. There are helicopters out there. Like when I was filming the lights in 2004, there were airplanes. All right? They were watching the lights, man. And whenever these lights whenever the lights would appear over a power plant on the west side of South Mountain that's bored down into the fault line there, okay? These lights were attracted to this power plant, okay? I have video of this, 2004. Lights would hang over that power plant. Airplanes would circle and wait for the lights to come in, and the airplanes would zoom in after these lights. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, wow, cool. Somebody else is seeing the lights too. They're studying them. Wow, this is great. But watching what the airplanes were doing and everything, man, it wasn't there to study them or to watch them. It was there, the planes were there to get them out of the area, to try to shoot them like flies away from that power plant so nobody else would see them. Sometimes it would work. Sometimes the airplanes would come in within a mile or two radius of these lights. Lights would dim out. Airplanes would come in and circle over that power plant. Airplanes go back up in the sky, wait. Airplanes would circle and wait. And sure enough, here come the lights coming from the west, going the east, heading towards that power plant. Over that power plant, sit, sucking up that energy. Airplanes coming in. Okay, so this is nothing new. I discovered this, back in 2004, watching the Phoenix Lights on a regular basis by South Mountain. Now we're here at Mount Lemmon. Same thing is kind of what's going on here. We have airplanes. They're watching what's going on. But up until recently, in that last couple of days, we're dealing with F-16s. Okay? Let's take a look at this here. This right here, let's go ahead and play this. This is an F-16 here. You can see it's how it's blinking. Okay? That's an F-16 there. But look at this. Look what's coming up here. You see that thing? What's following it? Okay? It's going to come out of the cloud. There it is. You see that? I filmed this about a few days ago. Look at that. See the orbs there? Is that amazing or what? Let's watch that again. There's the F-16. And then the orbs are going to come right out from under the cloud there. And you know they got to see these lights, man. Because when you're up there, I mean, they're bright, you know. They have to see these things. Look at that. Here comes the orbs. Isn't that incredible? That's something there. So when I was filming the lights in 2004, let's bring out a photograph here. So this was actually taken on. This photograph here was taken in 2010, right? This is the exact same spot where the 1997 Phoenix lights happened at. It's still going on there. But because of misinformation, disinformation, everyone is looking for a spaceship of a V-shaped craft, all right? And they're not paying attention to these lights out there because the government's trying to tell us all they're flares, all right? But look at this. They're right over houses. All right, let's go ahead and zoom in on this. Let's get a better look at this here. Okay? These lights are over houses. This is the west side of South Mountain. And it's still going on today. Those lights are still there. You just have to know what to look for. And stop trying to look for a V-shaped craft that's someone trying to sell you books about nothing, about something they have no idea what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? With no evidence to support their claim. Because that's what it boils down to. I look at ufology as, you know, you have to be a believer and a skeptic at the same time. We first must know what man-made natural things are in the sky to then come back and understand what unnatural things look like in the sky. And if we're going to come out and claim a spectacular claim that a V-shaped craft going 8 miles an hour, a mile long, going over the city of Phoenix, what happened March 13, 1997, but no video of this? No evidence of this? To this day, there's no evidence of anything? Just people in news television cameras and selling books and movie tickets to Harkins theaters and saying, oh, V-shaped craft went over the city of Phoenix. With no evidence? I mean, come on. The evidence shows these lights, west side of South Mountain, March 13th, 1997. That's it. They were there for a little while. They were sucking up that energy. Then they disappeared. And the people who got it on film were the people who were waiting for them. Because they were seeing lights before. And again, my point. If anything was going to fly over the city, those people would have got it on film. So my point here is, look how they're red, orange, amber lights. You see that? Let's look at Egypt. Okay? This is Egypt's hieroglyphs. You see the pattern here? Red, orange, amber lights, same as the orbs in the sky. Not only in Phoenix, but in your town also. And that's what these things are doing. They're orange and amber. When you see the lights out here in Tucson, when you see them for your own eyes, for your naked eyes, They're orange and amber. Sometimes they're white, but most of the times they're kind of red. Same stuff that the Egyptians are carving. Exact same stuff the Egyptians are carving. What's this here? Let's take a look at this. Now, let's look at what the Hohokam Indians were carving in Phoenix, Arizona. Isn't that amazing, ladies and gentlemen? Look at this. We have Egypt carving orbs in the sky, or orbs. And then we have the Hohokam Indians here in Phoenix carving the exact same type of circular objects. Same stuff. And another secret is, this is the same beings. This is the same things as the Egyptians saw back in their time, that's the ancient ones, the Hohokam Indians. These lights and UAPs and jellyfish and stuff like that, these things don't die, man. These are the same ones that the Egyptians saw, that the Hohokam people saw. Now, so this is just the beginning. All these orbs. Let's move Mount Lemmon out of the way here for just a second. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this petroglyph here. Okay? Let's go ahead and zoom in on this. So, there's a lot of petroglyphs up there. And some would like to say, well, this is like what they call a lizard man. Okay? Because he has the tail and he's got the circular belly there. But actually, what he's doing is he's morphing. He's anthropomorphing. He's changing shape. That's what the archaeologist likes to call changing shapes. This is a fancy name, anthropomorph. It's morphing, changing shape. So this is just the beginning, folks. All these orbs and stuff that we're seeing, they morph. They anthropomorph. They change. We're seeing them now. The jellyfish, that used to be an orb. They're changing. They're morphing. They're changing shape, just like what the Native Americans have been telling us all these years. So when we see a petroglyph like this, he's actually morphing into what looks like a man. They like to mimic stuff. They mimic animals. They mimic snakes. They mimic people, humans, okay? And that's what this one is doing. Oh, and that tail, that's the line. That's the line where the Native Americans used to hang from. That video we saw at the beginning of the show, that's the line there. So the orb is changing shape, and he's got the line. See that? Into what we call now jellyfish UAPs. Now let's look at this. I forget where this was filmed at. This is great stuff. This is great video. But look, they're orange too. Let's go ahead. Oh, no, Tommy. Okay.
What's that?
Isn't that great? Orange, amber lights.
What is that?
Isn't that something? That's crazy. Same stuff. I forget where that was filmed at. It wasn't here in Tucson. It was somewhere else in the United States. Isn't that crazy? So let's go back to Mount Lemmon. All right, so we're going to show you some things. So I've been trying to get the word out. My goal is, on these lights here, is to get every person in Tucson to see these lights. Okay, it's going to be hard to do, but that's the goal. And so I'm posting in these groups, hopefully, and it's been working because now we have I'm not just watching them now. We got other people here watching them now. We have a good friend of mine, Ryan. He got a hold of me. He saw what I was doing out here in Tucson, and he wanted to know what camera I was using, so I told him. And now he's over here by the Recon Mountains. Okay, he's somewhere down in this area, and he's seeing lights over the Recon Mountains. And another friend of mine here in Tucson named Courtney, she's around this area, and she's filming the exact same stuff that I'm seeing out here. She's filming the exact same things over Mount Lemmon. So let's go ahead and take a look at what they've been filming. And congratulations, keep going, you guys. And I encourage other ufologists, other people who want to see these beings, who want to see these things, to come out here. And to best see them right now, you need night vision, some kind of night vision camera. You need to be able to see over the blinking red antenna lights, preferably high up somewhere. See, I've got the perfect spot out here. My balcony, I'm on the second floor. I'm overlooking Mount Lemmon. I can see it from west all the way to east. I can see the whole mountain here. I don't know how this happened. I don't believe anything happened is just a coincidence. I believe everything happens for a reason. So, I ended up here overlooking this mountain, and I'm seeing these orbs, right? So that's what I'm trying to tell people. You need to be kind of up high and have night vision, and you'll be able to see them. And they're coming in right now around 7 o'clock. But I'm predicting, just as what happened back in 2004, the summer of 2024, here in Mount Lemmon, that they were coming in later. All right, so in May, they were coming in at 12 midnight. And then by the time they reached October, clear on the east side, they were coming in at 4 o'clock. All right, same thing here. Okay, I started seeing them at 6:30. Now we're up to 7 o'clock. All right, so in January, at the end of January, when they were coming back, they were here at 6:30. Now we're in February 2025, and now they're coming in around 7, right? So within the next few weeks, they're going to come in a little bit more bigger, a little bit more brighter, right? And a little bit more later. So by the time March rolls around, they should probably be coming in around 8, 9 o'clock, somewhere in that area. Let's go ahead and take a look at what Courtney and Ryan were filming.
Expansive horizons, meeting the sun as it sets, your intentions deep within rise.
that'll do it for another Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky UFO show. I hope you guys enjoyed your time with us tonight. So glad you guys are here with us. So glad you guys are understanding what these UAPs really are and the connections to the rock art and the energy sources. Hopefully, you'll be able to see them one day too, because these things are here. Make sure you check out my YouTube channel for more goodies. In the descriptions of all my videos, you'll see more links there for you guys to check out. And thank you guys so much for being here. We will see you next time. Take care and keep looking up.
Petroglyphs in the sky, watch them UFOs fly by. We in the southwest Arizona, Sonoran desert, UFOs are among us. Petroglyphs in the sky, watch them UFOs fly by. We in the southwest Arizona, UFOs are among us.
Reflecting back on history, I'm from Arizona, so you know I spit heat. There used to be some Indians running around here with some pens, marking on the walls. And now, it's a new cause. They say it has something to do with UFOs, y'all. I don't know, they put a connection together. I might check it out, and even better, I call up someone like Prophet. He's got video camera equipment, and a partner by the name of Jeff, who's got it on video camera, don't test. We got real live information. You know what we saying?
It's like I saw a vision. Looked at the sky over South Mountain, saw a glowing prism. Flying in the sky, moving left and right. Kinda hovering and goes out of sight. All these UFOs gotta say something about the petroglyphs being all the truth, all the ancient myths of spirits in the sky. Maybe these were starships, Indians wonder why. In the future, when times get rough, we'll all return to the mountain to get the answers to the question of humanity. All these ships, cure insanity. Petroglyphs in the sky, watch them UFOs fly by. We in the southwest Arizona, Sonoran desert, UFOs are among us. Petroglyphs in the sky, watch them UFOs fly by. We in the southwest Arizona, UFOs are among us.